Eric Locke became one of the most famous pilots in World War II after he shot down 21 aircraft in the legendary Battle of Britain. But this renowned airman and his Spitfire would actually vanish on a mission in 1941, never to be seen again. In this video, we will take a look at this final sortie and what may have actually happened to one of the RAF's most legendary pilots on this fateful day. In World War II, there were tons of rations and food that were used on the front lines. Today, instead of rations, I like to use the sponsor of this video, HelloFresh. In case you don't know, HelloFresh gets you mouth-watering seasonal recipes and fresh, pre-measured ingredients delivered right to your door. Using their great meal kits, HelloFresh makes cooking at home fun, easy, and affordable. According to research, HelloFresh was also up to 72% cheaper than dining at a restaurant. In addition, each HelloFresh recipe goes through rigorous testing done by professional chefs. One of my personal favorite recipes is their sweet chili turkey lettuce wraps. These were great and took just 25 minutes to make, and clean up was super easy. So if this sounds like something for you, use my link or go to HelloFresh.com and use code POGTJ3May16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 surprise gifts across 6 HelloFresh boxes, plus free shipping. Once you click, my description will live update and count up the purchases. Thanks again to HelloFresh, and without further ado, enjoy. It is the summer of 1940. Britain readies itself for the significant and heavy aerial attacks by the German Luftwaffe. The Second World War is in full swing, and vast swaths of Europe are quickly falling under German control. The might of Nazi Germany seems unchallenged by any of the European powers, possessing one of the best armed forces in the world. Now, Hitler knows that his next goal must be to eliminate England, who is constantly in his way. But before he can even consider setting foot on British soil, everyone knows what he must first do: eliminate what remains of the Royal Air Force. Unknown at this time is one of the fearless young men who would help repel the German air assaults in the Battle of Britain better than any other. This man would be Eric Locke. After he completed training and became efficient in the new Spitfire, he was placed in 41 Squadron in North England and prepared to see combat. Locke and the rest of his squadron would soon be instrumental in the defense of Britain and its airspace. Sure enough, in the coming weeks, Locke and his fellow airmen would be drawn into an epic struggle that would go down in history. After taking down his first German aircraft on August 15th of 1940, when he shot down a Messerschmitt Bf 110 fighter, he would go on a streak that would be unmatched in the Battle of Britain. Over the next 12 months, he would down no less than 26 enemy aircraft, with 21 of them coming in the Battle of Britain. This would be good enough to earn him the title of the highest scoring Allied ace in the entire battle. And although we could spend a great deal of time reviewing and discussing Locke's victories in this conflict, our focus for today is actually on his last mission. So in order to do that, we must jump forward to August 3rd of 1941, just 1 year after the date of his first kill. In the early hours of this August day, Locke and his squadron were tasked with carrying out a sweep of northern France on a rhubarb mission, which was essentially a free hunt for ground targets of value. This was a routine mission, and he had completed many like it before. They were nearly done with this sortie and had begun their flight back towards England when, while still over occupied France, Locke sighted some German trucks and soldiers on the road near Calais, a valuable French port town nearest to the British border across the Channel. Immediately after sighting these targets on the ground, Locke signaled to his wingman regarding the targets, and the 22-year-old pilot broke from formation and prepared to attack the convoy. This would be the last time anyone would ever see Eric Locke. In his Spitfire Mark V W3257, Locke dove down and opened fire on the Germans, and then we have no idea what actually transpired. Eric Locke completely vanished from the war during this dive attack, and the famous sawn-off Lockie was never seen or heard from again. Based on the best historical information, it is believed that Eric Locke opened fire on the convoy after communicating with his wingman, and at some point, Locke's plane was hit by German anti-aircraft or ground fire. After being hit by ground fire, there are only two possible options as to what could have happened if Locke had been shot down. The first, option A, is that he was hit critically or fatally and immediately crashed into the ground near the German column. This would seem to be the most likely outcome, but the problem with this is that there has never been any trace of his Spitfire or any crash ever found, despite multiple searches and a thorough investigation by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. The second possible outcome, option B, is that Locke's Spitfire took damage and after being hit, he attempted to return to England across the Channel, where he crashed into the waves, never to be seen again. The issue that we run into with this outcome, however, is that there was no indication in the military records of any attempt on Locke's part to rejoin his unit or communicate with them. There is also no evidence that his squadron was even aware of his disappearance until their arrival back in England. This implies that Locke never radioed to his unit and his wingmen never saw him flying over the Channel. Both of these seem like they would have certainly occurred had their famous leader been hit and was well enough to try and nurse his fighter back over the Channel. Speculation and theories continue to surround Locke's disappearance, with some believing that he crashed and died in Calais and the evidence of the crash was removed by the Germans. Or some even state that the young man was captured and died later in a prisoner of war camp. There is no evidence for either of these being true or having occurred. Furthermore, the other pilots in Locke's squadrons did not see any crash site the following evening when they returned to patrol the same area. Historian Dilip Sarkar made a claim that Johann Schmid of JG-26 may have shot down Locke. It is known that Schmid did successfully shoot down a Spitfire over the French coast on August 3rd, but according to records, this kill took place in the evening and not in the early hours of the morning when Locke disappeared. Thus, it seems unlikely that the Spitfire Schmid shot down could have possibly been Locke. By the end of the month of his disappearance, the British military listed Eric Stanley Locke as missing in action. Even though he had been killed 4 years prior to the war's end, Locke remained one of the top 10 scorers of the entire war for the RAF. Unfortunately, until we are actually able to recover RAF Spitfire Mark V W3257, we may never actually know what happened to the Battle of Britain's greatest ace. There are plenty of possible scenarios, but without tangible proof of what transpired, historians can only guess as to what happened. Today, Locke's name appears on the Runnymede Memorial in Surrey, a monument to commemorate the missing airmen who vanished during the Second World War.
If you would like your name here at the end of all of my videos and access to awesome bonus content, then please use the link in the description and check out my Patreon to support my hard work. Thanks for watching, please click subscribe, and I'll see you next time.